From translation, NIV New International Version. This 73rd day of the year. Today we are reading passages Joshua 12 to 15. Joshua chapter 12, verses 1 to 40. These are the kings of the land whom the Israelites had defeated, and whose territory they took over east of the Jordan, from the Arnon Gorge to Mount Hermon, including all the eastern plains. Sihon king of the Amorites, who reigned in Heshbon and ruled from Aroer on the rim of the Arnon Gorge, from the middle of the gorge to the Jabbok River, which is the border of the Ammonites. This included half of Gilead. He also ruled the eastern Arabah from the Sea of Galilee to the Sea of the Arabah, that is, the Dead Sea, eastward toward Beit Jeshemoth, and then southward below the slopes of Pisgah. And the territory of Og king of Bashan, one of the last of the Rephates, who reigned in Ashtaroth and Edrei. He ruled over Mount Hermon, Salcah, all of Bashan to the border of the Jeshurites and Marcathites, and half of Gilead to the border of Sihon king of Heshbon. Moses the servant of the Lord and the Israelites conquered them. And Moses the servant of the Lord gave their land to the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh as their possession. Here is a list of the kings of the land that Joshua and the Israelites conquered on the west side of the Jordan, from Baal Gad in the valley of Lebanon to Mount Halak, which rises toward Seir, and Joshua gave their lands to the tribes of Israel as an inheritance, in the hill country, in the western foothills, in the Arabah, in the mountain regions, in the foothills, and in the wilderness and in the Negev, the land of the Hittites, Amorites, Canaanites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. The king of Jericho won the king of Ai, near Bethel. Won the king of Jerusalem, won the king of Hebron, won the king of Jarmuth, won the king of Lachish, won the king of Eglon, won the king of Jezer, won the king of Debir, won the king of Jeddah, won the king of Hormah, won the king of Arad, won the king of Libnah, won the king of Adullam, won the king of Makkedah, won the king of Bethel, won the king of Tappuah, won the king of Hepher, won the king of Aphek, won the king of Lasharon, won the king of Madon, won king of Hazor, won the king of Shimron, Meron won the king of Atshaph, won the king of Tarnak, won the king of Megiddo, won the king of Kedesh, won the king of Jokneam in Carmel, won the king of Dor in Naphas Dor, won the king of Goyim in Gilgal, won the king of Tirzah, won in all. 31 kings were defeated. Joshua chapter 13, verses 1 to 33. Joshua was now old and advanced in years, and the Lord said to him, "You are now very old, and there is still very much land to be taken over. This is the land that remains. All the regions of the Philistines and Jeshurites, from the Shihor River on the east of Egypt to the territory of Ekron on the north, which is counted as Canaanite, the 5 Philistine rulers in Gaza, Ashdod, Ashkelon, Gath, and Ekron, as well as the Avites in the south. All the land of the Canaanites, from Aroer of the Sidonians to Aphek, as far as the border of the Amorites, the area of the Jebuelites and all Lebanon to the east, from Baal Gad below Mount Hermon to Lebo Hamath. All the inhabitants of the mountains from Lebanon to Misrephoth Maim, that is, all the Sidonians. I myself will drive them out before the Israelites. Be sure to allocate this land to Israel as an inheritance, as I have instructed you. Now divide this land as an inheritance for the 9 tribes and the half-tribe of Manasseh." Moses had granted the 2 tribes and the half-tribe of Manasseh their inheritance east of the Jordan, but he had given the priests no inheritance among them. "For the Levites have no portion among you, because the priesthood of the Lord is their inheritance. And Gad, Reuben, and the half-tribe of Manasseh have already received their inheritance east of the Jordan that Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave them. To the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh, Moses had given. Their territory extended from Aroer on the rim of the Arnon Gorge to Mount Nebo in the east, the whole plateau beyond Jericho, and included Beit Jeshemoth, Baal Meon, and Kiriathaim, as well as Sibmah and Zereth Shahar on the hill in the valley, the whole plateau with the towns of the plateau, and all the kingdom of Sihon king of the Amorites, who ruled at Heshbon. Moses had defeated him and the leaders of Midian, Evi, Rechem, Zur, Hur, and Rabah, the princes of Sihon who lived in the country. In addition, the Israelites put to the sword Balaam son of Beor, who practiced divination. The children of Israel had entered the land and taken possession of it. And this is the territory that the Reubenites received. Their territory extended from Aroer on the rim of the Arnon Gorge to Mount Nebo in the east, Heshbon and all its towns on the plateau, Dibon, Bamoth Baal, Beit Baal Meon, Jahaz, Kedemoth, Mephath, Kiriathaim, Sibmah, Zereth Shahar on the hill in the valley, Beit Peor, the slopes of Pisgah, and Beit Jeshemoth. All the towns on the plateau and the entire realm of Sihon king of the Amorites, who ruled at Heshbon. Moses had defeated him and the leaders of Midian, Evi, Rechem, Zur, Hur, and Rabah, princes allied with Sihon. They were subject to Sihon. Of those who were put to the sword, Balaam son of Beor, who practiced divination, was one of the survivors. The border of the Reubenites was the Jordan. This was the inheritance of the Reubenites, according to their clans, with their towns and villages. Moses also gave an inheritance to the tribe of Gad, that is, to the Gadites according to their clans. The territory included Jazer, all the towns of Gilead, and half the land of the Ammonites as far as Aroer near Rabbah, from Heshbon to Ramath, Mizpah and Betonim, and from Mahanaim to the territory of Debir. In the valley Beit Haram, Beit Nimrah, Sukkot and Zaphon, the rest of the kingdom of Sihon king of Heshbon. The Jordan formed its boundary on the east. This was the inheritance of the Gadites, according to their clans, with their towns and villages. This was the inheritance of the Gadites, according to their clans, with their towns and villages. Moses also gave an inheritance to the half-tribe of Manasseh, that is, to half the descendants of Manasseh, according to their clans. The territory extended from Mahanaim, all Bashan, the entire kingdom of Og king of Bashan, and all the settlements of Jair in Bashan, 60 towns, as well as half of Gilead, with Ashtaroth and Edrei, the royal cities of Og in Bashan. This was for the descendants of Machir son of Manasseh, for half of the descendants of Machir, according to their clans. This is the inheritance Moses had given when he was in the plains of Moab across the Jordan east of Jericho. But to the tribe of Levi, Moses had given no inheritance. The Lord, the God of Israel, had told them, "You are to take as your inheritance the offerings made by fire to the Lord, and you shall inherit it. This is your inheritance among the tribes of Israel." Joshua chapter 14, verses 1 to 15. Now these are the areas the Israelites received as an inheritance in the land of Canaan, which Eleazar the priest, Joshua son of Nun, and the heads of the tribal families of Israel allotted to them. Their inheritances were assigned by lot, as the Lord had commanded through Moses for the 9.5 tribes. Moses had granted the 2 tribes, and the half-tribe of Manasseh, their inheritance east of the Jordan, but he had given the Levites no inheritance among them. For the people of Joseph had become 2 tribes, Manasseh and Ephraim. No portion was given to the Levites except cities to live in and pasturelands for their livestock and for their possessions. So the Israelites divided the land, as the Lord had commanded Moses. Now the people of Judah approached Joshua at Gilgal, and Caleb son of Jephunneh the Kenizzite said to him, "You know what the Lord said to Moses the man of God at Kadesh Barnea about you and me. I was 40 years old when Moses the servant of the Lord sent me from Kadesh Barnea to explore the land, and I brought back a report to him as it was in my heart. My fellow spies who went up with me made the hearts of the people melt, but I followed the Lord my God wholeheartedly. So on that day Moses swore to me, 'The land on which your feet have walked will be your inheritance and that of your children forever, because you have followed the Lord my God wholeheartedly.' Now then, just as the Lord promised, he has kept me alive for 45 years since the time he said this to Moses, while Israel moved about in the wilderness. So here I am today, 85 years old. I am still as strong today as I was then, and I am just as eager for battle now as I was then. Now give me this hill country that the Lord promised me that day. You yourself will hear that there are still Anakites there, and their large fortified cities. Perhaps the Lord will be with me, and I will drive them out, just as the Lord said." Then Joshua blessed Caleb son of Jephunneh, and gave him Hebron as his inheritance. So Hebron has belonged to Caleb son of Jephunneh the Kenizzite ever since, because he followed the Lord, the God of Israel, wholeheartedly. Previously Hebron had been called Kiriath Arba after Arba, who was the greatest man among the Anakites. Then the land had rest from war. Joshua chapter 15, verses 1 to 63. The allotment for the tribe of Judah, according to its clans, extended down to the territory of Edom, to the desert of Zin in the extreme south. Their southern boundary started at the bay at the southern end of the Dead Sea, crossed south of the Scorpion Pass, continued to Zin and went over to the south of Kadesh Barnea. Then it ran past Hezron up to Adar and curved around to Karka. Then it passed Asman to the Wadi of Egypt and ended at the Mediterranean Sea. Their western border was the coastline of the Mediterranean Sea. Their eastern boundary was the Dead Sea, as far as the mouth of the Jordan. Their northern boundary started from the bay at the mouth of the Jordan, went up to Beit Hogla, and continued north of Beit Araba to the stone of Bohan son of Reuben. From the stone of Bohan, it went up to the valley of Achor and through the southern pass to Debir. From there, it continued north to Gilgal, opposite the slopes of Adamim, which faces the valley of Ben Hinnom on the north. From there the border went up to the valley of Ben Hinnom along the southern slope of the Jebusite city, that is, Jerusalem. From there it went to the En Rogel. From En Rogel the border curved to the north to En Shemesh and Jeliloth, continuing to the valley of Ben Hinnom, north of the Jebusite slope. It then went to the Hinnom valley on the south slope of the Jebusite, and ran west to the spring of the waters of Nephto. From there it curved to the hill country to the west at Mount Seir, ran along to the northern slope of Mount Jearim, that is, Kiriath Jearim, and went down to Beit Shemesh and on to Timnah. Then it went north to the slope of Ekron, curved to Shikron, went to Mount Bala and continued to Jabneel. The border ended at the Mediterranean Sea, which formed the western boundary at that point. The western boundary is the Mediterranean Sea. These are the boundaries around the people of Judah by their clans. In accordance with the Lord's command to him, Joshua gave to Caleb son of Jephunneh a portion in Judah, Kiriath Arba, that is, Hebron. Arba was the ancestor of Anak. From Hebron Caleb drove out the 3 Anakites, Sheshai, Ahiman and Talmai, the sons of Anak. From there he marched against the inhabitants of Debir, formerly called Kiriath Sepher. And Caleb said, to the man who attacks and captures Kiriath Sepher, I will give my daughter Achsah as his wife. Othniel son of Kenaz, Caleb's younger brother, took it, so Caleb gave his daughter Achsah to him in marriage. One day when she came to Caleb, she urged him to ask her father for a field. When she got off her donkey, Caleb asked her, What can I do for you? She replied, Do me a special favor. Since you have given me land in the Negev, give me also the springs of water. So he gave her the upper and lower springs. This is the inheritance of the tribe of Judah, according to its clans. The southernmost towns of the tribe of Judah in the Negev toward the border of Edron were Kabzeel, Eder, Jaga, Kinnah, Dimona, Adada, Kedesh, Hazer, Ithnan, Ziph, Telem, Beloth, Hazer, Hadattah, Kirioth, that is Hazer, Amam, Shamar, Molada. Hazar Gadda, Heshman, Beit Pelet, Hazar Shual, Beersheba, Biziathiah, Bala, Eim, Ezem, Eltalad, Kessel, Hormah, Ziklag, Madmana, Sansana, Lebjoth, Shilhim, Ain Rimmon, 29 towns and their villages. In the western foothills, Eshtal, Zorah, Ashna, Zano, Enganim, Tapua, Inam, Jarmuth, Adullam, Soko, Azekah, Sharaim, Aditaim, Jederah and Jederotaim, 14 towns and their villages. Zenon, Hadasha, Migdalgad, Dilian, Mizpah, Jokzeel, Lachish, Boskath, Eglon, Kaban, Larmam, Kitlish, Jederoth, Beit Dagon, Nama and Makkedah, 16 towns and their villages. Libnah, Ether, Ashan, Ifta, Ashna, Nezib, Kala, Achzib and Maasha, 9 towns and their villages. Ekron with its dependent villages and its surrounding settlements. From Ekron to the sea, all that lay near Ashdod, along with their villages. Ashdod, its dependent villages and its surrounding settlements. Gaza, its dependent villages and its surrounding settlements, as far as the Wadi of Egypt and the coastline of the Mediterranean Sea, in the hill country. Shamia, Jatia, Soko, Dana, Kiriath Sana, that is Debir, Anab, Eshtemo, Anim, Goshen, Holon and Gilbo, 11 towns and their villages. Arab, Duma, Eshian, Janim, Beit Tapua, Fekah, Humta, Kiriath Aram, that is Kiriath Sepher and Zano, 9 towns and their villages. Maun, Carmel, Ziph, Jutha, Jezreel, Jokdeam, Zano, Kain, Jiber and Timnah, 10 towns and their villages. Halhul, Beit Zur, Jedor, Maroth, Beit Anoth and Eltekon, 6 towns and their villages. Kiriath Baal, that is Kiriath Jearim and Rabbah, 2 towns and their villages. In the wilderness, Beit Araba, Midden, Sekaka, Nibshan, the city of Salt and En-Gedi, 6 towns and their villages. Judah could not dislodge the Jebusites, who were living in Jerusalem. To this day the Jebusites live there with the people of Judah.